जय राधमाधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजनवल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजनवल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जनरंजन जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जनरंजन जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधमाधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधमाधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजनवल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजनवल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जनरंजन जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जनरंजन जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा। Hare Krishna. Welcome to New Dwarka. Would you like the Gita? We have copies right up there on the shelf. Would you like some? Should I get them for you? Yeah, we're going to have a special class on the Gita and we're going to read a certain verse and then I'm making a very special presentation today. So I can bring the Gitas for you or it's right there on the shelf. It's right there. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, it's on the top, the orange one. Yes. Yes, Prabhu. We'll be reading today from chapter 6, text 44, and that's on page 297. The chapter is entitled Dhyan Yoga. Page 297, chapter 6, text 44. I'll be chanting the Sanskrit and then you can respond after me for the English translation. Purvabhyasena tanaiva hriyate hi avashopi saha jigyasurapi yogasya shabda brahmati vartate. Please respond. Purva, previous. Abhyasena, by practice. Tena, by that. Eva, certainly. Hriyate, is attracted. He, surely. Avashaha, automatically. Api, also. Saha, he. Jigyasu, inquisitive. Api, even. Yogasya, about yoga. Shabda Brahma, ritualistic principles of scriptures. Ati Vartate, transcends. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Please respond. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Advanced yogis are not very much attracted to the rituals of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yoga principles, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.33.7, such disregard of Vedic rituals by the advanced transcendentalists is explained as follows. Aho batasva pacho to gariyan yaj jivagre vartate namatubhyam te pustapaste juhuva sasnorarya brahmanuchar Nama grinanti yete. O my Lord, persons who chant the holy names of your Lordship are far, far advanced in spiritual life, even if born in families of dog-eaters. Such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices, bathed in all sacred places, and finished all scriptural studies. The famous example of this was presented by Lord Chaitanya, who accepted Thakur Haridas as one of his most important disciples. Although Thakur Haridas happened to take his birth in a Muslim family, he was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord daily. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life, he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas, known as Shabda Brahma. Unless, therefore, one is purified, one cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Translation once again. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. ओम ज्ञानातिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीलराधानाथ स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशकतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So I specifically chose this verse. This chapter is entitled Dhyana Yoga, and Prabhupada writes in the purport that Lord Chaitanya accepted Haridas Thakur as one of his most important disciples, despite the fact that Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family. Because it does not matter what religion you follow, what caste you follow, what color your skin is. What is most important is that we have love for God in our hearts. That is the most important principles. God is just one, and we call him by different names. So what is more important is not which sect or which religion we belong to, but what is more important is the fact that we love God as recommended in our scriptures. And how does one develop that love? How do we develop love for God? Mahabharat Prabhu, how do we develop love for God? Yes, by chanting the holy names of the Lord. It is said that in this yuga or in this age, which is Kali Yuga, the only means of realizing God is by chanting his holy name. In our tradition, we chant the holy names which is given to us by Lord Chaitanya. This is a 16-syllable mantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there is a reason why I chose this verse, because this verse talks about Srila Haridas Thakur, and today is a very, very special day. Today is the disappearance day of Srila Haridas Thakur. How many of you know of Srila Haridas Thakur? Yes. Today is the disappearance day of Srila Haridas Thakur, and he is a prominent acharya, a prominent spiritual master in our line of disciplic succession, and we follow his teachings. And today is the day that he left this planet to go back to his eternal pastimes, but he left his teachings and his instructions to us. And what are those instructions? His instructions that he left behind are that one should develop love for God by chanting his holy names incessantly. And he is the classic example of chanting of the holy names of the Lord, and that is why Lord Chaitanya gave him the title Namacharya. Nam means the name, and Acharya means a master who sets an example. So the entire word Namacharya means someone who sets the example by chanting the holy names of the Lord. And this title was actually given to Srila Haridas Thakur by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let's move into the presentation. I have prepared a very special presentation. It's a PowerPoint presentation. And we'll discuss history of Srila Haridas Thakur today. These very interesting pastimes of this wonderful personality. So what better day to glorify him than today, which happens to be his disappearance day. Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. So this is Haridas Thakur, as I mentioned earlier. He is a spiritual master in a line of disciplic succession, and we follow his teachings as given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a verse that I'm going to recite. Richikasya Munehe Putro Namna Brahma Mahatapaha Praladena Samam Jato Haridasa Khyako Pisan Murari Gupta Charanash Chaitanya Charitamrite Ukto Muni Sutaha Pratas Tulasi Patram Aharan Adhautam Abhish Abattas Tam Pitra Yavanatam Gataha Sa eva Haridasa Sanjata Parama Bhaktiman. Translation: Haridas Thakur is a combined incarnation of Brahma Mahatap, the son of Richika Muni, and Prahalad. The respected Murari Gupta has written in his Chaitanya Charitamrita that this Muni's son picked a tulasi leaf and offered it to Krishna without having washed it first. His father then cursed him to become a mlecha in his next life. He was thus born as Haridas, a great devotee. And this is in Gaura Ganodesha Deepika by Kavi Karnapura. So, I'm going to tell you exactly who Haridas Thakur is. In this verse, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that if you have begun a pious activity in your previous life and somehow you're not able to complete it, in your next lifetime, because in a tradition we follow reincarnation, in your next lifetime you will start exactly where you left off in your last lifetime. So whatever pious deeds we do in our previous life, they never ever go to waste. One may think that I'm not doing enough, which is actually a good thought, because we cannot love God enough. There's not enough time to love God. But if we think that we've not done enough in this lifetime, there's really no reason to worry, because Krishna will give you more opportunity in the next life to continue where you left off. So if one completes all the ritualistic ceremonies in the previous lifetime and is still not able to develop love of God, in the next lifetime, he or she will definitely get an opportunity to develop this love. And this is a classic example which is given by Srila Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur is a combined incarnation of Lord Brahma and Prahlad Maharaj. Do all of you know about Lord Brahma? Lord Brahma is the creator of the universe who took his birth from the navel of Lord Vishnu, and he was lying on the lotus flower. So Lord Brahma is a jiva. He is the first jiva who is responsible for creation of the universe. So there is a history why Haridas Thakur is regarded as an incarnation of Lord Brahma, which I'm just going to tell you. So there is a little pastime of Lord Krishna in Dwapar Yuga. A supreme spiritual master, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, has written in one of his books entitled Navadvip Dham Mahatmya, and he recounts the pastimes of Lord Krishna. And I'm just going to tell you that little pastimes. One time, Krishna was playing with his cowherd boyfriends and his cows and calves in the forest. And Lord Brahma, who did not realize the supremacy of Lord Krishna, whom he was seeing as a simple little young boy, a child who is just fond of doing naughty things, he said, "Let me do something mischievous." And what Lord Brahma does is he steals all of Krishna's cowherd boys and his cows and calves, and he puts them in a cave to test the strength of Lord Krishna, because he does not know that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So Lord Krishna understands Brahma's mood. So he recreates all his cowherd boyfriends and all the little cows and the calves, and everything goes on as usual with no sign of distress that something has been lost. So after 1 year, when Lord Brahma comes back, he finds to his astonishment that nothing has changed, that Lord Krishna is still playing with his cowherd boyfriends and all his cows and calves. So he is very surprised, because he thinks that I stole all of the cowherd boyfriends and the cows and the calves, and I hid them in the cave. So how is this possible that all these cows and the cowherd boys are still playing here happily with Lord Krishna? So he's shocked and he's stunned. And then the realization dawns upon him that this little child is no ordinary child. In fact, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna. And so he comes to the boy, little baby, not baby, little child Krishna, and he falls at his lotus feet and he begs for mercy and for forgiveness. And he says to Krishna, "Please forgive me. I did not realize that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because I was completely controlled by my false ego." Ego is known as ahankar. Everyone has an ego. Is this ego good or bad? The ego that we have in us, ahankar. What do you think? Is the ego good or bad? Any one of you? Excellent answer. Thank you. Because normally, automatically, somebody would say, yes, ego is a bad emotion. Ego is ahankar. So if we develop ego, it's not good for our spiritual advancement. But you said it very correctly. Ego can be utilized for the right purpose. If one realizes that this ego is not utilized for my sense gratification, for my own enjoyment, but I utilize this ego to reach a higher purpose in life. And that higher purpose in life is to realize God. And as you said very correctly, God can only be realized through Guru. We can never realize God ourselves. It is impossible. Like we cannot become a doctor or a surgeon by simply sitting at home. One has to go to medical school, understand the books, get some residency training and so forth. Likewise, we cannot realize God by ourselves. We need the assistance of a Guru. It is imperative. So if this ego can be utilized properly under the guidance of a spiritual master to reach Krishna, that is the best utilization of this ego. So why is Lord Brahma talking about the ego? Lord Brahma says to Krishna, "Oh my Lord, I was so proud that I am the creator of this universe. So a lot of ego had developed in me. As a result of this ego, I felt that I am the proprietor of this universe because I am the first creator. And so this pride has developed in me. But through your actions, I am able to see that I am nothing. In fact, I am your servant and you are the proprietor." And so Brahma starts crying. So if you can see, this image shows you Lord Brahma in front of little Krishna begging for his mercy, and he's crying, he has tears in his eyes. And so Lord Brahma says, "Oh my Lord, this is Dwapar Yuga, but you are going to come again in Kali Yuga as the golden form, Lord Gauranga. And I am scared that I may develop the same pride and the same ego, and I may commit the same mistake again. In fact, I would be so blessed that I get an opportunity to serve you and chant your holy names as your cowherd boyfriends do. So what I have decided now is to go to an island known as Antardweep, and that is on the east coast of India, in a town called Navadweep. That's a very holy place for us. And so Lord Brahma goes there to Antardweep and he starts meditating. He starts meditating on the form of Lord Gauranga. Why does he meditate? He's praying that when you come the next time, don't let me behave like this again with you, because I already committed a mistake. Don't let me make this mistake one more time, because I will be overtaken by my pride and my ego. So please bless me that I don't make this mistake again." And Lord Gauranga comes to him. He says, "I am pleased with your devotion and your humility. And I give you a blessing that when I come in Kali Yuga in the form of Lord Chaitanya, you will take birth as a Malecha." What is a Malecha? Does anyone know what the term Malecha means? Malecha means low born in a low class, and someone who doesn't have high upbringing. This is the benediction that Lord Chaitanya gives to Lord Brahma, that although you will be born in a Malecha family, I bless you that you will attain liberation by chanting my holy names incessantly. This was the benediction given by Lord Gauranga to Lord Brahma, as was requested by Lord Brahma. So this picture shows you how Lord Brahma is actually praying to Lord Gauranga. So Srila Haridas Thakur was born in the 1400s, specifically 1451, in the village known as Buron, which is currently today in Bangladesh. He appeared in a family of Mohammedans. That means he was born in a family of Muslims. And after remaining with his family for some time, he left his family because he had realized that the nectar which is derived by chanting the holy names of Krishna is far, far more sweeter than doing any other rituals. So he left his family and he came to the banks of Ganga at a place called Fulia, where he met another important spiritual master in a lineage known as Advaita Acharya. It is said that Srila Haridas Thakur was very deeply devoted to chanting the holy names of Krishna since his childhood. And as a result of that, he was considered as Namacharya, which is regarded as a spiritual master in chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna. Srila Haridas Thakur was endowed with very exceptional qualities like forbearance and tolerance, and we will talk about these two qualities of his when I discuss his pastimes. So Haridas, as I said earlier, he left his home not out of religious sentiment, nor out of disgust for the ignorance of his family for spiritual master. He simply left his house because of one reason, and that one reason was love of God. He developed love of Krishna, and so he left his home to realize that love and to give that love to everybody. So Haridas Thakur is regarded as an Uttam Adhikari. So the devotees in our line of tradition, the devotees are of three different kinds: Kanisht Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. Are all of you conversant with this, or would you like to give me a little, do you want me to give you a little description of this? What are the differences between these three? So a Kanisht Adhikari is one who is very fond of doing rituals and realizes that the path that he or she follows is the best and the only path. That means his level of understanding is very immature. That's what Kanisht Adhikari is. Then the next level of devotee is Madhyam Adhikari, who realizes that God is in everybody and every religion leads to God. There is one religion cannot claim that my religion is the only path for God and all the other religions are irrelevant. That is a misconception, and a Madhyam Adhikari realizes that every path followed by every religion leads to God. And he sees God in every living entity. Whether it's a man or a woman, God is seen in every living entity. But beyond this is the highest level of the devotee known as Uttama Adhikari. Uttama Adhikari is one who absolutely is beyond any material designation. He does not consider whether one is a man or a woman or an animal or a low caste or a high caste or the color of the skin or whether one particularly follows a certain religion or not. He is the highest level because he has transcended all material designations and his only intent is to simply chant the holy names of the Lord, not for his own benefit but also for the benefit of the entire world. So he gives the holy name to everybody. What would make you happy? If you're sitting at your home and you're taking prasad, you're eating your dinner, and somebody knocks at your door and says he's very hungry, can you spare some food for me? What will you do? You will give them the food. So likewise, when you receive some knowledge about God and you develop love of God, would you like to keep it with you or would you like to share it? Obviously you would like to share it because it is said the more you share, the more it multiplies. So love of God is something that is meant to be shared because the more love you give to the others, the more your love will increase. And that is a very practical example. You can see it for yourself. Any religion, the more you spread the glories of God, the more satisfied you will feel. And this is the level of Haridas Thakur. He was chanting the names of Krishna incessantly without making any distinction. And he was giving this chanting to each and everybody. Whomever he met, he would say, please chant the holy names of the Lord without any distinction. So that is why he is regarded as Uttam Adhikari. So are there any questions before I talk about wonderful pastimes of this exalted personality? Are there any questions at this point? Mataji, any question? Okay, so I'm going to talk about various pastimes and you can follow these pastimes with me. These are pictures which indicate these wonderful leelas of Haridas Thakur. It is said that Srila Haridas Thakur was so renounced, he would do his chanting in a little hole which was like a cave-like structure in the middle of a tree. And in that tree, a snake used to reside. And there he used to sit and chant the holy names of the Lord. So all the villagers grew very scared because there the snake used to live. And so they came to Haridas Thakur and said, "Oh my Lord, this is a very dangerous place because there is a snake who resides there. And we are very scared of this snake. So we cannot even come in front of you to offer our respects because there is a snake there." So Haridas Thakur is so kind. He goes to the cave and he says to the snake, "Oh snake, you are causing some disturbance. Please come out and leave this place so all the others can come here and chant the holy names. If you don't leave, I will leave." And so the snake comes to him and says, "Please forgive me. I will leave immediately." And the snake leaves right away. This is the power of Srila Haridas Thakur. He did not kill the snake. What will your reaction be when you see a snake in your backyard? In all honesty, what will be your reaction? Let's assume the snake is not attacking you. It's just sitting there. What would you do? Prabhu, in the back, what would you do? Let's say it's a cobra, it's a poisonous snake. You'll be scared. You won't dare to go nearby, but none of us would kill it. Typically it is mentioned we should not kill any living entity. But it is also mentioned in the Shastras that if your life is at risk and someone is attacking you, then you should take necessary action to defend yourself. But if some living entity is simply sitting there and not doing anything to harm you, one should absolutely not cause any harm, be it a snake or a scorpion or a lion. So in this case, Haridas Thakur was so kind and so gentle, he told the snake, "Please leave this place," and the snake actually left it. So this is one pastime. The second pastime is, one day a snake charmer, everyone has seen a snake charmer? The snake charmer plays a bean, we call it a bean, and the snake, which is in a basket, starts dancing. So one day a snake charmer came to the home of a very rich man and he started playing the bean. And so the snake came out and started dancing. But while the snake charmer was playing the instrument, he started talking about the pastimes of Lord Krishna dancing on the snake Kaliya, because it is tied to the snake. So Haridas Thakur at that point was in the home of that rich man. The moment he heard the pastimes of Lord Krishna dancing on Kaliya, he went into ecstasy, he went into Mahabhav, and he started crying and laughing, and he fell on the ground and he started moving on the ground. Now this was not a fake emotion. He had gone into the deepest sentiments of ecstasy. And people started looking at him and they realized he's a very big personality, so they started paying their respects and obeisances to him. So there was one Brahmin there. He grew very jealous. He said, "Oh, if I also act like this, that I also fall on the ground and I also pretend to be very, very ecstatic, people will also start respecting me and I will gain a lot of reputation." So he also starts pretending like Haridas Thakur. He falls on the ground and he starts acting like he's in ecstasy. But the snake charmer, who's a very simple man, he's immediately able to realize that this person who is doing this is actually a pretender. And he tells him, "Please get up. I can make out that you're a fake person. Otherwise, I will let my snake loose upon you." This is what he tells. And that man who is a pretender, he gets up and runs away. So the point I'm trying to make here is, no one can imitate an exalted personality. One should not imitate a great spiritual master or a personality because they are at a much higher level than us, and imitation is not the way to go. The way to go is to serve that personality in a mood of humility. So that was the second pastime. The second pastime is chanting the holy names of the Lord very loudly. Srila Haridas Thakur was known for chanting the holy names of Krishna very loudly, very, very loudly. He would chant the Mahamantra very loudly so everybody could hear. So one Brahmin came to him and said, "Why are you chanting so loudly? You're causing an inconvenience and a nuisance. You don't need to chant loudly. It is recommended that one chant the names of God quietly as japa and meditate in silence." So Srila Haridas Thakur counteracted and said, "That is not true. In the Shastras it is said that one should chant the holy names of the Lord loudly, because not only will I benefit, the one who is chanting, but everybody around me who is listening to the holy names of the Lord will also benefit." So what is better? That I get liberation, or I get liberation and also everyone around me also gets liberation? What is better? Obviously what Srila Haridas Thakur was saying. So he says to this jealous Brahmin, he says, "Japato hari namani sthane shata gunadikaha atmanam cha punyati uchayar japan shotan punati cha." This is from Naradiya Puran. He states, someone who chants the holy names aloud is 100 times better than one who performs japa, because the one who chanting japa simply benefits himself, while the person who chants japa aloud not only does good for himself, but for all those who hear him as well. So this Brahmin was not convinced. And he said, if what you say is not true, you are saying that there is evidence in the scriptures that loud chanting is very beneficial. If I find this to be untrue, that you are lying, I will come and cut off your nose and your ear. And guess what happens to this Brahmin? After a few days, he contracts smallpox and he loses his own nose. What is this trying to tell you? That we should never ever offend a devotee of the Lord. Never. And why were we offending? Because of the ego. We feel we are the highest, and that's why we start offending simple devotees. That was another pastime. The third pastime is Lord Haridas Thakur always chanted a very large number of names of Lord Krishna daily. It is said he would chant 192 rounds daily. And that is 300,000 names of Lord Krishna daily. He would never take his meal until he completed all his chanting. So practically he would be chanting 23 hours a day. He barely slept, because he was deriving so much nectar and so much sweetness by chanting the holy names of the Lord that he did not feel tired or hungry. But he would only take a meal once a day after completing all his rounds. This is the power of Srila Haridas Thakur, chanting. That's why he is known as Namacharya. The fourth pastime is quite painful. As I told you, Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family, and he started chanting the holy names of Krishna since he was a young boy. And so, in Bangladesh and Bengal at that time, it was the rule of the Muslims. And so when the Muslim king, known as the Qazi, came to know that one Muslim had converted into Hinduism and was chanting the names of Krishna, he grew extremely angry. And he imprisoned Haridas Thakur and brought him to his court. And so the governor told him, please go back to your own religion. Why did you convert to Hinduism? Now you have become fallen. You're not one of us. You don't need to chant the holy name of Krishna. Just go back to your religion and start practicing your own religion. Then the king will forgive you. Srila Haridas Thakur says, no matter what you tell me, even if you cut my body into 100 pieces, I will never ever give up the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And so, the king, it is said, I'm going to quote Srila Haridas Thakur, he says, Khanda khanda hai deha, jaya jari pran, tabu ami vadane na chari hari nam. You may cut my body to pieces and the life may leave it, but I will never abandon the holy name which my tongue will ever continue to chant. This is Srila Haridas Thakur's own words. So the Muslim Qazi told his governor that he is not going to give up his chanting, so I am going to punish him. And what is his punishment? Take him to 22 marketplaces and whip him, beat him with ropes and canes and beat him until he dies and he stops chanting the holy name of the Lord. And so they took Srila Haridas Thakur to 22 different marketplaces one by one, and each of these marketplaces they started beating him with canes and ropes and sticks. And it was very painful. But he never left his body. He was still alive. And the people, the soldiers who were beating him, they grew tired. But Haridas Thakur still incessantly kept on chanting the holy names of Krishna, he just said Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And so the people who were beating him, they realized this person is not ordinary. Nothing is happening to him despite us beating him. So they fall at his feet and they beg for forgiveness. They said, you are not an ordinary person. And nothing is happening to you. We were supposed to kill you. But nothing is happening to you. So we are scared that when we go back to our king and when we tell him that we were unsuccessful in killing you, he will kill us. So please save us. So Haridas Thakur is so kind. He says, I will save you. So he lets go of her external consciousness and he enters into a trance, which is known as samadhi. And in that state, it looks as if the person is dead, but the person is not dead. He goes into himself, into a very deep level of consciousness, but he's still alive. But someone who is watching that person externally feels that that person is dead. So he falls on the ground and the soldiers pick up his body and take that body to the court of their king, the Muslim Qazi, and they said, he's dead. And so the soldier says, can we bury him now since he's dead? So the Qazi says he does not qualify to be buried because he did not follow our religion. Throw his body into the river in the Ganges. So the soldiers take the body of Srila Haridas Thakur and they fling it into the river Ganga, thinking that he will be dead. It is said that once he was thrown into Ganga, Haridas Thakur regained consciousness, and once he reached the coast, the shore, he immediately got up and started dancing and chanting the holy names of Krishna. And when this news reached the Muslim king, he was shocked and stunned. And so he, along with the governor and all the soldiers, came to the shore and they saw that Haridas Thakur, despite being beaten 22 times, despite being thrown in the Ganges, was still alive and chanting. And so they realized their mistake and they fell at his lotus feet and they said, please forgive us for our mistake. What you say is true. Chanting of the holy name is the most important activity and you are not an ordinary person. From today onwards, you can chant wherever you please. So they realized their mistake. And so this is one of the most important pastimes of Srila Haridas Thakur. It is said that once when Lord Chaitanya met Haridas Thakur, he told Haridas Thakur that I wanted to come and kill all the people who were causing you so much pain. But I did not. Because in this age, you are trying to give them the holy name. So I wanted you to do that pastime. But when you were being beaten, I came and saved you, and all the whipping and the ropes and the canes that were being beaten upon you, I actually took that pain because I came in front of you and I took that pain. And so Lord Chaitanya showed his back to Haridas Thakur and there were red marks of the cane beatings upon his head. So God himself comes to save his devotee. When his devotee is in trouble, God himself comes to save the devotee. This is a wonderful example of Krishna coming to save his devotee. It is said there is a ceremony known as Shraddh, where when someone's parents pass away, there is a ceremony which is done every year. It is known as Shraddh ceremony, where the children offer food to the Pitras, that means ancestors, and then that food is offered to the Brahmins. So Advaita Acharya, a spiritual master, was doing this ceremony in his household. It is said that once does this Shraddh, the first person to receive the Mahaprasad is a Brahmin. But Advaita Acharya was so magnanimous, he realized the position of Srila Haridas Thakur. And instead of giving that Mahaprasad to the Brahmins, the first person to receive that Mahaprasad was Srila Haridas Thakur, which tells you what the position of Srila Haridas Thakur is. He is not materially designated into Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. He is a pure devotee of the Lord beyond any caste designations. That was another pastime. The other pastime is when Haridas Thakur came to Jagannath Puri. Everyone knows Jagannath Puri, where Lord Jagannath resides, to meet Lord Chaitanya. Even today in Jagannath Puri, in the temple, only Hindus are allowed to enter, which is a very sad state of affairs. So Haridas Thakur, knowing himself to be a Muslim, he was so humble. He felt he's born into a very low family and he is not qualified to go and enter Lord Jagannath's temple. So he did not even enter the temple. And so when Lord Chaitanya came to Jagannath Puri, he told one of his associates, Kashi Mishra, that you have made my housing arrangement in a flower garden. I would like a little place in the flower garden where Haridas Thakur can sit and stay and chant his rounds. Please give me this place. So Haridas Thakur comes there, and Lord Chaitanya tells him, don't worry, you don't need to go to the temple of Jagannath. You stay here and you simply look at the chakra on the top of Lord Jagannath's temple. There is a chakra, and that is as good as visiting the temple. And you do your seva of chanting the holy names by sitting here. I will come and visit you every day, and I will also arrange Mahaprasad for you. What is this trying to convey? That God is so kind upon his devotees that even if his devotee is not able to see him, God will himself come to give darshan to his own devotees. And this is a classic example of Lord Chaitanya's dealings with Srila Haridas Thakur. An amazing pastime. Now this pastime is very, very interesting. This is one of the very well known pastimes of Lord of Haridas Thakur. I'm just going to recount this pastime. Haridas Thakur had built a small hut in the outskirts of a village, and there he would sit in front of a tulsi plant and simply chant day and night 300,000 names of the Lord. And as a result of this chanting, the villagers became very overwhelmed, and they started respecting him, and they started really honoring him. So one person in that village, by the name of Ramachandra Khan, he became extremely jealous. Why was he jealous? Why are people giving so much attention to this simple Muslim man? This is not fair. I should be receiving all that attention. So how do I degrade this person? How do I tarnish the reputation of this person so that he falls down and people don't respect him anymore? Now you have to remember, Srila Haridas Thakur is a brahmachari. And what do brahmacharis do? They do not associate with women because they have taken vows of celibacy. So how do you tarnish the reputation of a brahmachari? Simple. Bring a woman in front of the brahmachari, have the brahmachari break his vows, and then the entire world will see what kind of brahmachari is this. He is not able to keep his vows. And this is what was the devious plan of Ramachandra Khan. He gets 3 prostitutes and he goes and tells them, you go to the house of Srila Haridas Thakur and you seduce him and entice him to have a union with you. And once the villagers see that he has fallen down by associating with a prostitute, they will not associate with him anymore and his reputation will sink. So he chooses the most beautiful prostitute. Her name is Lata Shakri, something like that. Her name, she's very beautiful. So she dresses up in gorgeous ornaments, puts on nice perfumes. She's very stunning to look at. And she goes to Haridas Thakur's hut. And she pays obeisance to Tulsi Maharani. And she stands very seductively and says to Haridas Thakur is very young. He's about a young 22, 25-year-old man, very handsome, very good looking. So she goes and says, "Oh young Brahmin, you are so handsome and so good looking. This is the age for you to associate with the opposite sex. I am very attracted towards you. Please have a union with me, otherwise I will die." Now what would a reaction be of a brahmachari? Someone who has taken the vows of celibacy. The ideal reaction would be anger. That why have you come to me? Get out of here, because I am following the laws, the vows of celibacy. But what did Srila Haridas Thakur said? Such a simple and such a wonderful soul, such a high level of tolerance. He says, "Oh my fair lady, I will surely associate with you. But first, I have to finish all my chanting. I have taken a vow of chanting 300,000 names of Krishna every day. The moment I finish these 300,000, I will surely associate with you. Please sit here and wait for me to finish my chants." So she becomes very happy. She says, "Oh, he will associate with me. So my motive, my intent will be fulfilled." So she sits there. She's waiting and waiting and waiting, and he's simply chanting there, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And guess what? The entire night goes away, and it's early morning. And she realizes, oh, the day has broken. I cannot do anything right now because everything happens in the night. So she says, I am leaving. I'll come back tomorrow night. He says, okay, I promise you I will associate with you. Please come again. She goes back and tells Ramachandra Khan very happily that he has agreed to associate with me. Unfortunately, he could not finish his chanting in time, but he has promised that this night, once he finishes chanting, he will surely associate with me. So she goes back the second night, and the same thing happens again. She says, please associate with me. I am dying out of lust. And he says, oh my fair lady, please sit. I am almost close to finishing my 300,000 names. The moment I finish, I will surely have a union with you. Please have a seat. And listen, just listen to me what I'm chanting. So she pays her obeisances to the Tulsi Devi, and she sits there. And he's chanting, Hare Krishna, he's chanting. Again, the entire night passes away, and he's not able to finish his chanting. And she goes away, a little disappointed. Third night she comes back. And again he says the same thing. I will surely associate with you. Please sit down. I have taken a vow of chanting 10 million names of the Lord the end of this month. The moment this vow is complete, I will surely associate with you. Please sit down. I will not disappoint you. The third night, when she is sitting down, the power of the holy name sinks into her heart, and she realizes love for God. Simply by hearing his chanting, Krishna, Krishna, she realizes what is love of God. She starts crying. She falls at his feet. She develops love of God. A prostitute, simply by hearing the holy names of the Krishna, she develops love of God. She falls at his feet and she cries and begs for forgiveness. She tells him, I am so sorry, my dear Lord. I was sent by Ramachandra Khan to defame you and defile you because he was very jealous of you. But simply by hearing the holy names of Krishna from your lotus mouth for the past 3 nights, I have become purified. Please accept me as your disciple. I have led such a dirty life. Now I want to chant the holy names of the Krishna for the rest of my life. Haridas Thakur smiles at her and he says, I knew all along that Ramachandra Khan had sent you to defame me, and I was going to leave immediately. But I also knew you were going to come, so I want to liberate you. This is the power of the mercy of a great Vaishnava. So he deliberately stayed back 3 days because he knew the prostitute would come and he wanted to give her liberation. So then he tells her, please go back to your home, give up all your fine clothes, your riches, your treasury, everything, give it all to the Brahmins, come back to my hut, stay here, lead a very simple life, and simply chant day and night in front of Tulsi Maharani, and I will be leaving now. I leave this hut to you. And that prostitute gave up everything. She just had one cloth with her. She shaved her head, sat in that hut in front of Tulsi Maharani, and all she did was chant the holy names of Krishna. And people in the village, they became very awestruck, and they came and took shelter of her. She became a spiritual master in her own right. She became a guru in her own right. That is the power of the holy name. Amazing what Srila Haridas Thakur did to a prostitute. So this is an image which shows you how the prostitute came and begged for forgiveness by falling at his lotus feet. She gives up all her finery and her jewels. There's another pastime. We are almost nearing the end of the pastimes. It is said that Srila Haridas Thakur used to preach that simply by chanting the holy names of Krishna, simply by receiving the reflection of the holy names of the Krishna is enough to give one liberation. So there was a lot of argument. Some people said, chanting the holy names of the Krishna will erase all your sins, while other Brahmins said, chanting of the holy names of the Krishna will give you liberation. And Srila Haridas Thakur went one step ahead and said, that is okay, but chanting of the holy names of the Lord is beyond this. It will give you pure devotional service and love of God. Who wants liberation? Liberation is useless. We want to develop love of God so that we can serve God. That is a higher principle than simply achieving liberation. So one person, Gopal Chakravarti, was very jealous, very, very jealous. And he says, I don't believe when you say that simply chanting the holy names of the Lord of Krishna is enough to give liberation. One has to develop very large amounts of knowledge and go through various lifetimes before achieving liberation. So Haridas Thakur says, no, what you say is untrue. Simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord is enough to give you liberation. So Gopal Chakravarti says, I don't believe you. I don't believe you that I'm going to test you. I'll test simply by chanting of the holy name of the Lord. If that does not give liberation to somebody, I hope that you lose your nose. And guess what happens? He is able to see himself by chanting the holy names of Krishna. Liberation in fact does happen. And what happens to Gopal Chakravarti? He develops leprosy and he loses his own nose after 3 days. So same principle. If you offend a devotee of the Lord, you are bound to suffer. So one has to be very careful in one's dealings with the devotees of the Lord. Be very, very careful in not causing any aparadh. So this is what is being said about Namabhas. This is said by the Lord to Srila Haridas Thakur, Lord Gauranga. Haridas, in the age of Kali, the non-Hindus kill the cow and are inimical to the Brahmins. How will these people ever be saved? Srila Haridas Thakur answered, don't be distressed at seeing the pitiable condition of the Muslims. They will be liberated by the Namabhas, the shadow of the holy name, whenever they say haram. When wounded by the tusks of a boar, the Muslim cries out, haram, haram, again and again. If he attains liberation by so doing, then just think what will be the result if one chants the name of Ram with faith. Simply by chanting haram, in haram the word Ram is there. You get liberation. What to speak when you actually chant the holy names of the Lord? Such powerful benefit. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that if any person dies while saying the word haram, he is immediately liberated. That is the power of the holy name of the Lord. So that was the class I just wanted to talk about. We don't have enough time to talk about the passing away of Haridas Thakur, but I'll just give a synopsis in 1 minute. Srila Haridas Thakur's passing away was very glorious. Lord Chaitanya personally came to him and lifted his body, and lifting his body, he danced and chanted, and personally took Haridas Thakur's body to the Ganges and bathed the body with his own personal hand, and then he buried the body in the sand and requested all his devotees, his disciples, to chant loudly and be happy that such a wonderful exalted devotee has disappeared. And then Lord Chaitanya personally went begging to ask for bhoga so that he could cook a wonderful feast in honor of Srila Haridas Thakur's passing away. That is the power of Lord Chaitanya. And this is an image of Siddha Bakul. This is the tree, which is a very, very special tree. This is the tree where Srila Haridas Thakur used to sit and chant 300,000 names of the Lord every single day. Siddha means perfect, Bakul means tree. And even today, people go to this tree and tie a red talisman and beg for certain blessings. And this tree is actually coming from Lord Chaitanya's time. This tree came about when Lord Chaitanya threw a toothpick which was used as Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath, and that toothpick grew and took a form of a tree. And at that point, during Jagannath Puri, this tree of course became very, very well known, and that's where Srila Haridas Thakur would sit and chant the holy names of the Lord incessantly. This is the temple dedicated to Srila Haridas Thakur, and this is his samadhi where he would sit and actually chant the names of the Lord. Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please stay for the arti. We will have a wonderful arti now.